Shalom and welcome. Today we're going to be learning about nouns. In this section, this is a grammar review. This is basically going to go over all the different grammatical elements you're going to encounter and need to know and memorize in order to really master the basics of learning Biblical Hebrew. This is going to help you greatly because knowing these different things is going to remind you of the things that you obviously don't use on a day-to-day basis. But as you learn Hebrew and utilize these different things and remember these forms and what they are and what they're used for, you're going to be able to identify the things that are in a sentence and in a paragraph or in some kind of subject or context, and you're going to be able to pinpoint quickly what these things are. You're going to be able to identify what the subject of the sentence is, who's the subject about, just by learning these very different things so you can know, well, hey, if I find these things, I know exactly what they are and why they are the way they are. So let's start first with nouns. What are nouns? Nouns, remember, are just a person, place, thing, or idea. Now, in Hebrew, just think about it in the fact of nouns is going to be the majority of what you'll find in your dictionaries. Now, Hebrew is very heavy on verbs because it's a verbal language, and it's not as much as you find with English. English is a very humongous noun-based language. Hebrew functions on a verbal standpoint of speaking a lot of verbal actions and using the actions to express majority of the things we find in the actual scriptures and in the sentences we're going to find in the Bible itself. Nouns, which incorporates the majority of the language, is going to be the things that you're going to find, which is important to know how to identify a noun. So we're going to go through these things, and we know first and foremost that nouns are a person, place, thing, or idea. So what are pronouns? Pronouns, remember, it's the I, he, she, you in a sentence. It's the noun that replaces the noun, right? The noun that you use for the subject. So instead of saying Bob went to the store, you say he went to the store. Instead of saying Yonah went outside to play ball, you say he went outside to play ball. So he is a pronoun that's used to replace my noun. Next thing we're going to look at is indefinite nouns. What are indefinite nouns? Well, we're used to the a and an, which is the indefinite articles that you see in English. However, this does not exist in Hebrew. That means every single noun that you actually find is actually regarded as being indefinite. Therefore, you have to put a and an into the sentence when you're translating back into English. Where in Hebrew, the word itself is known to be definite by its actual contextual grammatical form. And that's how we're going to understand this in Hebrew. Secondly, concrete. What are concrete nouns? Concrete nouns are the nouns that define specific, definite things, such as etz, a tree, or ish, a man. Whereas abstract nouns, this is going to be nouns that you really don't have a definite thing to put it by. It's more of what we find abstract, such as ahava, love. So when we're looking at the fact of what kind of a noun it is, we have to remember some of the aspects we have to remember. Is this an abstract noun or is this a concrete noun? Is this an indefinite noun or is this a pronoun? Over here, we're going to be looking at the other aspects of nouns, such as definite nouns. What are definite nouns? There's a few ways to define definite nouns. One of them is it can be a proper noun. A proper noun is the name of a person or the name of a place. So a proper noun definitely is definite. But in English, you're probably used to using what's called the definite article, which we would see in English is the word the. Matter of fact, the interesting thing about the word the, if you were to speak over 25,000 words, did you know the word the would equate to about 9,234% of all the words that you're speaking? It means you're actually repeating 9,243 times the word the in a sentence more commonly than you speak any other word that you'd have used in the 25,000 words you use. Well, that goes the same thing with Hebrew. So the definite article the, we have our own version, and we'll get to that. And that definite article tells me that the noun now becomes definite, where we said before all nouns are actually indefinite in its normal form. But when we add the article, it makes it definite. There's another way in which definite nouns can exist in Hebrew. And the other way we find is called noun constructs. A noun construct, which we will show you in detail, is when you basically have two nouns. It's kind of like when we have the word the children of Israel. Now, of course, in English, we have kind of an issue here. We actually use two definite articles, the and then the again. And we use it before one noun, children, and the other one, Israel. So we have literally the statement, the children of Israel, but we call this a noun construct. And that basically means that these two nouns are related to each other. And therefore, the second noun, which is the word Israel, makes my noun sentence definite, or makes the noun construct definite. And that's the same thing we find in Hebrew. The only difference is we don't have to worry about all the words the and of. We actually take that out and we just put two nouns together, such as b'nai and Israel, which is the definite noun. Therefore, b'nai becomes definite because of the word Israel is associated to that noun. And therefore we find the word b'nai Israel, literally we translate the children of Israel. A third way we have for definite nouns, which is going to be a little different, is the fact that in Hebrew, we're going to see that you can make a noun definite by adding a possessive article. And this possessive, or I should say possessive pronoun, this possessive pronoun is used when we add it to the end of a noun. For example, if I said the word mishpacha, mishpacha in Hebrew is the word for family. But if I make it possessive, for as to refer to my family, I have the word e that's added to the end of the word mishpacha. Now, a little more complicated, and we'll learn about this. Why does the ha become a t? That's going to be explained. But here's how it works. If I say mishpachti, I'm literally saying my family. And it's all added together as one word. So you're literally saying my family in one word, mishpachti. Where in English, we separate the pronouns, which are either possessive, or we separate the pronouns, which are just the subject of the sentence, into separate different words. So this is something you're going to get used to, as to identify how to know when something has a possessive pronoun to the end of it. So that is going to define the definite issues of our definite nouns. And like I said, we're going to go in full detail as to show you what this looks like. The next one is the proper nouns. Proper nouns, which I said, is a person or a place. For example, Yonah is a name, so his name is a proper noun. Therefore, it is automatically definite. The word Israel, it is a proper noun, it is automatically definite. Nouns are a huge part of what you're going to see as to how much focal points can be placed upon some of the things you're going to see in Hebrew. And we're going to go into detail. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over pronouns. And we're going to talk about pronouns in this next video. So when you see this next video, our subject's going to be talking about pronouns, and we're going to talk about both pronouns and relative pronouns, as well as descriptive pronouns. We'll see you next time.